Hey everyone, my name is John Venus. Welcome back to another video. Today is a really personal video. It's my drug usage revealed, which is something that a lot of you guys have requested me to talk about. And this is something that is really missing from YouTube, I think, a lot of times, or it's not encouraged by society to talk about this stuff because there's a lot of guilting and shaming involved when you talk about things that a lot of people look down on, like drug usage. So first of all, I grew up in a pretty big household, a family of 6, and my parents were very, strict, and they were very anti-drug and anti-smoking, all these things. So I always got the message from an early age that drugs were a bad thing. So my first ever experience with substances was tobacco or cigarettes, and this was back when I was about, I'd say 13, more or less 13. And that was not because my friends were smoking. For some reason, by my own will, I wanted to figure out what that was all about. So what I did was I stole a cigarette from a friend's stepdad and left the house on the way back home. So I bought a lighter and I lit the cigarette up and I tried to inhale it. Of course, it was the most disgusting taste in my mouth that I've ever felt before. And I kid you not, it was probably only half a drag into my lungs or something like that. But it was enough to completely knock me out. I was completely out on the train station waiting for the train back home. I was just, laying down extremely dizzy. So after that experience, it kind of scared me and I left cigarettes and tobacco alone for a couple of years. Now, the next thing that came up was drinking. So in Spain, where we grew up, and this was at a time where smoking indoors and drinking and selling drinks for kids was not unethical or something weird. Everyone was doing it, so it was no issue for us as 14-year-olds to go to a bar and to get shots or beer or vodka or something like that. And that's what we did a lot of times. Not as often when we were 14, but we started then. But I was always a little bit nervous of these substances and alcohol and all these things, so I never went overboard and tried to get drunk by drinking a lot. And to be honest, my friends and classmates didn't really either at that young of age. But that came a little bit later. So I'd say by the time we were 15 and definitely 16, it was hardcore. So by the time I turned 15 or 16, that's when the social smoking started again. I didn't really think was gonna affect me negatively because I thought it was a very rare thing that I would do once in a while, and there was no way that I would ever get addicted to nicotine or to cigarettes or anything like that. So the social smoking and drinking carried on until I was about 18, and that was when I moved out the house, and that is when I started smoking for real. So I'm talking like a pack a day or something like that. Start off with 5 cigarettes a day, then 10 cigarettes a day, and then up to 20 cigarettes a day at some point. And to be honest, I didn't really feel bad or shame or guilt about it because, again, I thought that this was just a little phase, and then all of a sudden I would give it up, and I was definitely not addicted to this thing. So ages 18 and 19, that was when I was, the heaviest smoker, essentially. A lot of cigarettes, horrible for my health, and especially for me, growing up with asthma, definitely not a good idea. I was hospitalized actually once because, I couldn't breathe essentially, and I was still trying to smoke while I had a lung infection. Horrible idea. And in terms of drinking, I would drink until I felt tipsy or even lightly drunk. I was always in control of myself. I was never a person to want to lose control completely. That only happened the first ever time that I got drunk at 17 years old. So essentially I tried to stop smoking a couple months before I met my girlfriend, and my girlfriend was a super strong anti-smoker. And she, wouldn't have it, and it was all good until, of course, you have that one cigarette again at a party, and then, everything just comes back, and it just, the addiction is reborn, and, it's a nightmare again. So that's what happened over and over and over again. So it gets to the point where I would, buy a cigarette, feel guilty because my girlfriend didn't like it, throw it away. Change my mind, go back outside, go dig in the trash, take it back up, day after day after day. Crazy cycle, right? I would not only just struggle with my own kind of, self-esteem because, I didn't feel in control when I would pick up, the pack of cigarettes from the trash. Even if I broke the cigarettes in half and threw it in the trash to make sure I wouldn't go back, I would still pick them up, put them together and light them up. It's insane how much I put myself through unnecessarily. My relationship with Catherine suffered many times because I would have this addiction issue and try to hide it, and that in turn of course created trust issues within our relationship in the starting years of our relationship, and it was just not a good thing. So what triggered all this smoking and nicotine stuff? For me, it was essentially just being exposed to it at a young age and actually physically getting addicted and dependent on it, and then just being a person who enjoys pleasure that much, not being willing to let go that pleasure, that hit of nicotine, that is just, to this day and for the rest of my life, I will, miss, because it's amazing. It is, and that's what makes it so addictive and dangerous. So the reason why this video is being made is because of the incident when I changed my lifestyle. Everything came crashing down. I was going through a lot psychologically, digging deep and trying to find answers that didn't make sense anymore. And that's when I went back into a lot of caffeine and nicotine through dip or snooze, and also alcohol. For the first time I medicated myself with alcohol. It's never happened in my entire life, and that was something new for me. So that was going in the morning when the store opens, buying 2 beers and then just downing them straight away. Even though it was just 2 beers that I downed immediately, because I had it so fast, it really affected me. It changed my state immediately, and it maybe only lasted for half an hour because it wasn't much in total. It was still enough to give me that buzz and to get me out of the reality that I was trying to escape from, which was this confusion and a battle that I was going through on the inside. So that went on for a couple of weeks. It got to the point where I had to either increase the dosage, take something stronger like liquor, or just stop. And that's when I put myself together. So luckily I was able to cut the alcohol right there. The nicotine continued and probably increased to replace the alcohol as well. And that went on until essentially I came out the other side mentally. And once you have clarity, a lot of times you see your actions for what they are, and you see that they're not serving you, and you find it a lot easier just to stop those toxic behaviors because they're not serving us. So what other drugs have I taken during my lifetime? I can vividly remember when one of my drinks at a club was spiked with something, and I don't really do pills or anything like that, so I don't know, I can't relate to or pinpoint what it was, but it was, really, really strong. I remember seeing everything like as if it was like a fisheye lens. So as I said in the beginning of the video, I've always been scared of losing control and taking strong substances. So even though I was exposed to things like cocaine early on, I was never willing to go there. And I had many friends who did, and it was just not something that I was ever gonna feel comfortable with, and I've never touched it. Other substances, magic mushrooms, I've tried, not at a dose that it did anything to me actually. Microdosed, LSD. I tried kratom, which is an opioid, I think. And then lastly, hash and marijuana. So that's, the next thing. So that was something that I was exposed to super early on. I think I had hash for the first time when I was 15. And that was also an experience that, I don't know, I'm super lightweight in terms of all of these things, so I immediately went to, throw up, and it was horrible. So again, I tried to lay off from that because it scared me, right? But once I tried weed or marijuana, I fell in love with it. It was amazing. It was something that, I felt like I've been looking for my entire life. So even though weed in some ways has helped me as a person, and has helped me, gain perspectives that I probably wouldn't have gotten until I figured out a different method of meditation or something like that. So even though I personally got benefits from smoking a lot of weed, and opening my mind to different ideas and these things and challenging my own belief systems, etc., it was always a double-edged sword in terms of I would get something good, but I would get something bad out of it. And a lot of times the bad can be prolonged and made way worse, to the point where those benefits don't even count anymore. And that's for me when I will use weed to escape from reality and just watch Netflix and eat ice cream and cookies all day, and just do nothing. Luckily, I didn't really do that much. I tried always to be respectful and never go overboard. But even, you know, trying to do your best and not overdoing it, it's still gonna have a negative effect. There is no drug that you can take that is gonna be all positive and have no side effects or no negative things attached to it. It's just not the reality of it. And a lot of people get sold on the benefits and they ruin themselves because of it. Because we think we're in control, we think that we're gonna be able to be a responsible user, a responsible drinker or whatever, but a lot of times we are not able to. So this is not me endorsing or encouraging anyone to take anything that they don't feel comfortable with. I've always been, you know, of the belief that everyone should be able to do what they want with their bodies and minds, as long as it doesn't affect or, you know, ruin someone else's life or impact someone else negatively. I think people should do whatever they feel like doing and experimenting with whatever they feel like experimenting with. However, it doesn't mean that you should. So all in all, I think that, you know, people have to be more open about this, and people have to, you know, be less judgmental, especially because most people that I know are addicts. You know, almost everyone that I know is dependent on coffee and caffeine. And a lot of people, because, you know, it's acceptable and socially acceptable to drink coffee every single day, 5 cups a day, it's not considered something bad, but it's still something that you're using to medicate your feelings and emotions with. It's still something that you are dependent on, and anything that you're depending on externally is not going to benefit you long term, and it's not something that is going to, you know, be a vehicle for success and personal growth for you. So I believe that all of us should try to get to the point where we're not dependent on anything, and the only way to be free from all these external substances and, you know, stimuli is to do the inner work and sit in stillness. You know, try to pinpoint what the triggers are, those emotional traumas that you have going on, and start healing them slowly over time so you can get to a point where you are completely content without anything external. Anyways, I think that's enough for today. Let me know if this video was interesting. I would love to hear your experience with you know, substances or addiction or anything like that in the comment section below. Let's, you know, start sharing, let's start caring. Let's do that in the comments if we can. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to click the like button and also subscribe if you're new around here. Anyways, as always, I'll see you very soon. Peace out.